This is a disappearing 4-patch block. It looks very complicated, lots of small pieces, your little 4-patch in the middle, but actually it's very beginner friendly. On the back wall here you can see that I've put one together, and in today's video I'm going to show you exactly how to make the disappearing 4-patch block and a couple of different layouts for it so that you can do it yourself and make a quilt of any size. There is no set pattern in terms of how much fabric is needed for this quilt. What you want to look for is a pattern and then a solid. Because the quilt can get pretty busy, you want to have a solid as your background so you have somewhere for your eye to rest. It really allows for the fun fabrics that you use in the other spaces to pop and be dominant. So when you're looking for fabrics to use, you can use charm packs. Those are 5-inch squares. You can also use a layer cake, which is 10-inch squares, and you can cut those into 5-inch squares to use. For this particular quilt, I used the line Indigo Garden that I have here in the shop, and I used 5-inch squares to use to create my pattern. So let's get to it and walk through how you actually make this disappearing 4-patch block. Now, I did say 4-patch because that is where we start. This block that I showed you started here as a 4-patch block. Now we all know how to make a 4-patch block. It's a pretty basic thing. You do color, background, background, color. You want to make sure that you press it so that your center is going to be flat. In this case, I recommend that you press your seams open. Normally I would say to press your seams to the side. So when you join the background to your color, you press toward the color. Background color, you're going to press toward the color. That would allow your seams to nest. But in this case, since we're going to be doing a lot of cut, 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 we want these seams to be open to create less bulk in all of the little places where we're going to create more seams. So I press these open. The center seam is also pressed open so that that center will be super flat. It's going to be pretty bulky in a minute. Once I have my 4-patch put together, I'm then going to take my ruler and cut equal distances on either side of my vertical seam and equal distances on my horizontal seam. This is a distance that you can choose for yourself. If you want your pieces, your centerpiece, the center 4-patch, to be smaller, then you're going to make your vertical cuts and your horizontal cuts a little bit closer to that center seam. If you want it to be a little bit larger, like this one is, then you're going to make your vertical cuts on either side of your seam and your horizontal is just a little bit larger. So on this one, I used 1.25 inches. Bringing it to 1.25 inches means that this piece, once sewn together, is going to be 3/4 inch wide, just one side from the center seam. Okay, so to cut it, what I'm going to do is start with my center seam here, and I'm going to measure over 1.25 inches. So I have that center seam lined up directly on my 1.25 inches coming down, and I'm going to cut. I'm not going to move any of my fabric, and this is a super important part. Do not move any of your fabric because you want your cuts to be as straight and even as possible. So I'm just going to move my ruler over to the other side so that I can cut coming on the other side. Here I have 1.25 inches from the edge coming down, lined up. Okay. This is a great opportunity for you guys who have circular rotating mats. Just spin and go. So I have my 2 vertical cuts done. Now I'm going to do my horizontals, 1.25 inches on each side. Okay, so now I have my 4-patch. I can go ahead and spin my pieces to create the pattern that I had shown you before. So I'm going to take the center that had that middle seam and flip it. And then it's just a matter of putting it back together, and we'll have exactly this. Okay, so just a quick tip. As you're sewing these together, because you had rotated those skinny pieces along the seams, you don't have any color matching color. It's always color to white, background, background to color, all the way through. So if you come to a point where you have color matching color, color touching color, you know that you have put your pieces together incorrectly and you need to go back to the original layout to see how to put it together properly. Just keep that in the back of your mind. So I'm going to go ahead. I did the sewing, did my seams going horizontally, and I did press everything open. So now I'm going to actually use pins and pin these together so that my seams can match and sew those pretty quickly. Once you have all of your blocks made, I'm going to show this to you. You can put them together in a couple of different ways. The way that I have it here, I have in the top left corner of each one of the blocks, I have my background color. What that does is it causes the center four patch that's created to be color, background, okay? So that is one layout, and this is going to end up looking very much like the quilt that is on the wall behind me. The other way that you can do it though is to rotate. Rotate it so that in the center it'll alternate. You rotate it so it alternates. One block will have all background colors, and then when it matches up with the blocks beside it, some of the blocks will have four colors in the middle to make that four patch. So there are two different ways that you can put all of your blocks together, depending on how you want it to look. So my suggestion is that you play with it. All of your blocks are going to be made the same exact way. Background, color, all of them the same way. So once you have as many blocks as you want, you may want to do it, 5 blocks across by 5 blocks down. That would make a nice size quilt. Then you just play with it. Play with color placement like I did here with the one on the wall, where we kind of have groups of colors going in a diagonal. It kind of feels a little rainbowish, or make it just look scrappy. Whichever one you do, it's going to be super easy, super fun, very colorful and enjoyable. So that is it for the disappearing 4-patch block. See, it really was not as difficult as it seemed. You really don't have the small itty bitty pieces to fiddle with and put together in the center. You're really working with larger strips and squares, and it goes together really very quickly. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you subscribe below. Also, don't forget that jelly rolls are 20% off in the shop this month, so there you go. And you can also find these fabrics that I used from the Indigo Garden line also in the shops. If you like this video, make sure to watch the next video, which is a jelly rainbow. That is a whole lot of fun too. Also very beginner friendly, and I'll see you at the next one. Bye.